It started with rain tapping against the kitchen window. A quiet night. A glass of wine. A simple thought. Check his GPS, just to be safe. I wasn't prepared for what I'd see. I wasn't prepared for the porch light. For the red sweater. For the way he smiled at her. The way he used to smile at me. That night didn't just break my heart. It woke me up. Hey everyone. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an incredible story like this one. Never imagined a simple GPS notification could make my hands tremble the way they did that night. It started like any other Wednesday. Rain tapped softly against the kitchen window, the kind of rhythmic drizzle that usually lulled me into a sense of calm. My husband Daniel had kissed me on the forehead before he left that morning. He wore that navy blue suit I loved, the one that made him look effortlessly sharp. "Big project tonight," he'd said, reaching for his briefcase. "Might have to stay late at the office." I nodded, as I always did. Daniel was the kind of man who took his work seriously, dedicated, focused, ambitious. We'd been married for 8 years, and not once had he given me a reason to doubt him. At least, not until that night. After he left, I spent the day going through the motions. Work calls, laundry, a quick run to the grocery store. The usual routine. By evening, the house was quiet except for the ticking of the hallway clock. I poured myself a glass of wine, curled up on the sofa, and scrolled through my phone. That's when the idea to check the GPS popped into my head. Not because I didn't trust him. It had become something of a habit, ever since we both installed the location-sharing app after his minor car accident last year. Just a way to feel safe, reassured. But the little blue dot on the map wasn't anywhere. Near his office. It took me a second to register what I was seeing. His office was downtown, but the dot pulsed on the other side of the city, far from anything remotely connected to work. At first, I thought maybe it was a glitch. Maybe he'd taken a detour. Maybe the app was lagging. But the dot was moving slowly, steadily down a street I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened. I zoomed in. It wasn't just any street. It was a quiet residential neighborhood, a place we'd never had any reason to visit. I told myself not to panic. I dialed his number. He didn't pick up. That wasn't unusual. If he was in a meeting, he usually called back. So I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Still nothing. The little dot stopped moving. My heart pounded against my ribs so loudly that I could hear the echo in my ears. I tried to steady my breathing, gripping the phone tighter. My mind flooded with explanations, each one less convincing than the last. He could be visiting a client, helping someone. Anything. Anything but the thing I didn't want to name. After another 15 minutes, I slipped on my coat, grabbed my keys, and stepped out into the rain. I didn't even remember locking the door behind me. The whole drive there felt like moving through a fog, every streetlight bending and blurring through the raindrops on my windshield. I kept checking the app at every red light, watching that blue dot like it was the heartbeat of my sanity. When I finally turned onto the street, I saw his car parked halfway down the block. There it was, his black sedan, the same dent near the right bumper from last winter's ice storm. My fingers tightened around the steering wheel. My throat went dry. I parked 2 houses away. The neighborhood was quiet, except for the soft patter of rain. A porch light flickered weakly a few houses down. My hands shook as I opened the door and stepped out into the night. I told myself I wouldn't jump to conclusions. I'd knock on the door, ask him what was going on. There had to be an explanation. But as I got closer, I saw him. Daniel. Standing under the warm glow of the porch light, not alone. A woman stood in front of him. She had long chestnut hair and was wearing a red sweater. She laughed softly at something he said. That laugh pierced me like a blade. I froze, hidden behind a tree at the edge of the yard. My breath caught in my throat as he reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. I felt the world tilt beneath me. He looked happy, not tired, not stressed, not like a man buried under late-night paperwork. His eyes were soft, his smile easy, the kind of smile I hadn't seen in months. A rush of heat burned through me, then a cold wave followed it just as fast. My fingers dug into the wet bark of the tree. I wanted to scream. I wanted to storm up there, demand answers, but I couldn't move. I was trapped between rage and disbelief. The woman stepped closer. He didn't step back. I bit down on my lip to stop the sob building in my chest. My whole body trembled as if the night itself was trying to shake me apart. They stood there for what felt like hours, but was probably less than a minute. Then she touched his arm gently, and he followed her inside. The door clicked shut. For a long moment I stood in the rain, letting it soak through my clothes, mixing with the hot sting of tears on my cheeks. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from him. "Hey, babe. Still at the office? Don't wait up. I'll be late." I stared at the message until the letters blurred. My lungs felt tight, my vision swam, and for a second, I thought I might actually collapse on the sidewalk. He was lying. Not just lying with ease, like it was something he'd done before. I don't remember driving home. I must have, because the next thing I knew, I was sitting in the dark kitchen, still dripping rainwater onto the floor. The clock read 10:47 p.m. My heart was still pounding like I'd run a marathon. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that porch light, that red sweater, his smile. The lies wrapped up in something as casual as a text message. By morning, my world had shifted. Subtly, but irreversibly. When Daniel walked through the door at 7:15 a.m., carrying the faint scent of unfamiliar perfume, I forced myself to smile. "Morning," he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. I turned slightly so it landed on the corner of my jaw. "Long night?" I asked, my voice steady even though my chest felt like it was splitting open. He sighed. "Yeah, you know how it is. Deadlines." I nodded, studying his face. He didn't even look guilty, just tired, or pretending to be. Maybe both. I wanted to scream at him right then, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way he casually made coffee, humming softly. Maybe it was the way he sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone like nothing had changed. Or maybe it was because I needed to know the truth, not just a suspicion. Not just a porch light and a red sweater. Cold, undeniable truth. The next day I followed him. It felt wrong, like stepping into someone else's skin. I parked a few blocks from his office and watched from a distance. He went in at 8:57 a.m. sharp. He worked until 6, came out, got into his car, and drove straight home. No detours, no secret houses, nothing suspicious. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. But the following night, the blue dot moved again. Same neighborhood, same house. This time, I didn't just watch. I walked up to the house. I stayed hidden in the shadows of a maple tree across the street. I could see them through the window, her laughing again. Him, relaxed in a way he hadn't been around me in years. They looked like two people who belonged together. I clenched my fists until my nails bit into my palms. It wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about the way he smiled for her. The way I used to make him smile. I didn't confront him that night either. I drove home again. Numb, but numbness doesn't last. It curdles into something sharper. On Friday, I found the courage I thought I'd lost. I waited for the blue dot to move again, And when it did, I followed. My heart wasn't racing this time. It was steady, cold, focused. The rain had stopped, replaced by a still, heavy air that made every sound feel louder. I parked across the street and watched as he walked up to her door, like it was the most natural thing in the world. No hesitation, no guilt. I stepped out of the car. I walked across the street, my boots crunching softly on the wet pavement. The closer I got, the more I could feel the blood pounding in my ears. My fingers curled around the small recording device in my pocket, not because I wanted to expose him to the world, but because I needed proof. For myself, for my sanity. Before I could knock, the door opened. She stood there, smiling, not at me, at him. And then her smile faltered when she saw me behind him. "Daniel?" I said, my voice quiet but cutting through the air like glass. He turned. The blood drained from his face. "Emily," he whispered. For a heartbeat, none of us moved. Her expression shifted from confusion to realization. Then something else, pity, maybe. That was worse than anger. I was just, he started, but the lie caught in his throat. I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't even ready with an excuse. "Working late?" I said softly. The silence that followed was deafening. A single porch light buzzed above us. The woman stepped back slightly, as if wanting to disappear. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. A nervous gesture I'd seen 1,000 times before. "It's not what it looks like," he said finally. I let out a bitter laugh. "You should really stop saying that. It's exactly what it looks like." He tried to reach for me. I stepped back. I didn't trust myself not to flinch. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "How long?" I asked. He hesitated, and in that hesitation, I got my answer. "That's all I needed to know," I said, turning away. He called my name. Once, twice, but I didn't look back. I walked to my car with rain beginning to fall again, like the night was determined to match my mood. That night, I didn't cry. I packed a bag. He came home an hour later, soaked and frantic. He tried to explain. There were tears in his eyes, real or rehearsed. I couldn't tell anymore. He told me it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything, that he still loved me. But love doesn't live on porches with other women. "I trusted you," I whispered, my voice cracking for the first time. "I know," he said, his voice breaking too. But it wasn't enough. When I walked out of that house, the rain soaked me again. But this time, it didn't feel cold. It felt like a baptism, like stepping out of the shell of a life built on trust that no longer existed. Weeks passed. He tried to call. He tried to show up. Flowers, messages, apologies that came too late. And though the pain didn't vanish, it changed shape. It became something I could live with. The porch light still haunted my dreams sometimes. The red sweater, his smile. But every time I remembered, I also remembered the way I walked away. Not because I stopped loving him, but because I finally started loving myself more. And the GPS? I deleted the app, because sometimes the truth hurts so deeply it almost kills you. But sometimes it's the very thing that sets you free.